Hello everyone, this is Terry with Second Chance Computer Refurbishing, and today we're going to talk about how to take a Chromebook that's reached its end of life and give it a little bit more lifespan. It's been a well-loved little Acer C720, but it's now reached its end of life for software updates. So instead of just letting it coast along without the software updates it needs, what we're going to be doing is installing Cloudready, which is a ChromeOS version that's an open source version that does get updates. Okay, so step number one, we need to evaluate this Chromebook to see if it is going to be usable for us. So I'm just going to turn it on and let it boot up to whatever it boots up with at this stage. And when it comes up, it does show that there have been user accounts that have been set up on this. This was previously used by a school district, so it was enrolled in their enterprise enrollment. And we're going to check here in just a minute just to make sure that it has been what is known as deprovisioned out of that enterprise enrollment. And the way that we do that is really pretty simple. We're going to be doing a hard reset on this Chromebook, and hopefully it will restart itself and let us know whether or not it's going to be usable, or if it's still a part of the enterprise enrollment. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit escape, refresh, and power, and that's going to restart the computer, but it comes up in a little different ways. And if you've never done a hard reset, when you get this message with the giant exclamation mark, you're going to hold down Control and hit D. You're going to get another message that says to turn OS verification off. Press enter. So we're going to go ahead and press enter. It's going to restart and then come back with one more message that says OS verification off. Now, in normal circumstances, in order to reset the whole computer, then I would go ahead and hit the space bar and it would reboot and just like it was out of the factory. But a little bit later, if this is a usable Chromebook, this is the stage where, and it's reminding me to hurry up and do this, this is the stage where we will tell it to go into developer mode. So right now I'm going to go ahead and hit space and press enter. And OS verification is now on. It's going to restart. It's going to come up and it's going to ask us for Wi-Fi and all that kind of good stuff. We're going to put it on the local Wi-Fi. Once it finishes doing what it's doing, it's removing everything off of the SSD, wiping it essentially, without doing a power wash. This essentially does the same thing as the power wash, wiping out, but it also resets all the settings back to where it was previously. Okay, hopefully it'll come up and not tell us that it's looking for still an enterprise enrollment after we put it on the Wi-Fi. So I'm going to put it on the Wi-Fi right now. And it's connecting to Wi-Fi. And then I'm going to hit continue. It's going to go out and check for updates. Of course, it can't get any because it's got the end of life. These Acer C720s, there are just millions of them out there. We got these donated to us from a school district who couldn't use them anymore because they were not getting updates. They're still a very usable system. Great screen, great keyboard. Everything works well. All right, so it came up now, and it did not ask us to put in an email address that's part of their enterprise enrollment. And what I'm looking for here, oops, sorry, hit the camera. What I'm looking for here is the situation over on this end where it would say at something schooldistrict.org or whatever it is out on this end. If it came up and asked for that and said you have to put something in front of that, that means it's still a part of the enterprise enrollment and needs to be deprovisioned. In this case, we're good to go. All right, so step number two, now that we know we can use it, is we're going to take the back off of the Chromebook, and there's 13 screws that you got to take them all out. Probably the most time-consuming part of this is taking screws out and putting them in. But remember the one that's underneath the label here? You want to break that little label, and there's a screw underneath there before you can take them all out. So don't forget that one. But there's 13 screws, 4 here, and then 5 across the top. All right, so you take the top off, and there is a right protect screw. And I'm going to point out the right protect screw. It's right here behind this little cable. And you can move the cable to the side there and unscrew that kind of flat looking screw. So if I move it a little bit more, maybe you can see it. And then I take the good old screwdriver and I remove that larger screw. And then all the other little screws that we've been working with here. And it's kind of been troublesome sometimes to get it out there. Anyway, there's the screw. It's a big flat head on the top of it. You take that out. That's all you need to do when you take this off. And then you put it back on, snap it together, put screws in, and we'll go to our next step. All right, our next step is to take and put it in developer mode. When I turned it on after putting all the screws back in, I want to make sure I just let it come up by itself to its normal mode. And the first thing I'm going to do is do a hard reset one more time. So it's escape, refresh, and power. That restarts it. I get my exclamation point. I do a Ctrl-D. OS verification is off. Press enter. So I press enter. It's going to come up and say that I need to hit the space to re-enable. So this first time I'm going to go ahead and do it again. It's just like we did it the first time. Having done this a few times, it seems like it's much better for the system to go all the way through this process again after you've taken the right protect screw out. I'm not sure what effect that really has, but it also prevents some problems that you may encounter later. Okay, so now we're going to go through one more time. We're going to do the hard reset, but in the process of doing the hard reset, we're going to take it to developer mode. So escape, refresh, power. Okay, I'm getting the exclamation point, Control-D again. It says you want to turn the OS verification off. Press enter. And it's going to come up again, and it's going to say OS verification off, and press space to re-enable. Now, a normal reset, we would hit space, but in order to go into developer mode at this stage, you're going to hold down Control and hit D again. And this time the screen is going to come up and indicate that it's going into developer mode, and it's going to clear the local data and everything else. So it's going to take it a few minutes. I'm going to stop the video right now. While it does this, it sometimes can take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes depending on what's on the computer. So I'm going to stop the video, or pause it I should say. Alright, so the developer mode now finished. It restarted. It took it 4 or 5 minutes to do that, and it came back up again to say OS verification is off. Press space to re-enable. Again, I'm going to hold down Control and D, and that will go to developer mode. It's going to restart just like it was out of the box, but it is in developer mode this time, not in the regular mode. I'm going to put it on Wi-Fi. Now, when I put it on Wi-Fi, I'm going to let it go all the way through the process of getting on Wi-Fi, because I need to make sure that it's set up to where it will do that. It's going to check for updates again, won't get any, but that's just the normal process that ChromeOS goes through. Now, at this stage, we are in developer mode. We're not going to log in or anything. We're not going to go past here, but what we're going to do is go to the terminal. I'll show you how to do that just in a second. All right, so we're going into terminal mode now, and the way we do that from this screen is 3 keys again, all at the same time. I'm going to hold down Control, Alt, and I'm going to hit the 3rd key from the left along the top row to arrowhead pointing to the right. And when I do that, it goes into terminal mode. Now I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm typing here. Get the camera to go in the right spot. All right, it's saying localhost login. Basically, it's pretty simple. All of these steps, by the way, are down below that give you just exactly the same steps that we're doing right now. But at this stage, we're going to type in Chronos, C-H-R-O-N-O-S. Press enter, and it gives us a Chronos at localhost prompt indicating that we're now logged in. Now we're going to be using a scripts or set of scripts from a website called MrChromebox. I don't know why it's called MrChromebox, but it is. And these are the steps. Let me see if I can get it back out here far enough for you to see it. Not too good. Okay, so these are basically Linux commands that you're going to be typing in. Again, these are down at the bottom below the video so that you'll be able to see it and type them in. These are very generic commands. As near as I can tell, it's not specific to the Acer C720. At any rate, we're going to go ahead and type these commands in now. So they have to be very specific, and they are case sensitive, so make sure you get all that good stuff right. Linux is kind of picky that way. And MrChromebox.tech / firmware-util.sh. You press enter. It's going to go out and it's going to download that little set of scripts. Now we're going to tell it to install it. So the next command is sudo, if I can spell it right, install, and you got to have all these Linux specific commands in order to make it work. I'm not a Linux guru or anything like that, but I know how to read, so just type in what it says and you shouldn't have any problems. Okay, and it's just giving you a message now saying, you sure you want to do this sort of thing? But now we're going to issue the command to go ahead and do it. And what it's going to do is replace the firmware with a new ROM. And it's actually a pretty cool little ROM so that it acts a little bit more like a regular PC instead of just a Chromebook. So I have sudo firmware-util.sh, pressing enter now. It's going to download some support files. It's going to come up with a little menu that is saying, what do you want to do? Well, it's going to be pretty simple what we're going to do. Error, okay. Well, that happens sometimes. Let's try it again. And when it downloads these files, it basically will come up with a menu. Now it's getting the device and system info, so it makes sure it gives you the appropriate menu for the Acer C720. So let me see if I can get the camera pointed to the right spot up here. And it's not doing a very good job, but that's a little better. Sorry about it being crooked. Got kind of a jury-rig system here. Okay, let's try it one more time. Okay, so I'm going to be choosing the number 2, which is install update UEFI with the full ROM firmware. So I'm just going to press 2 and press enter. It's going to ask me a couple of questions now, and the questions are, are you sure you want to continue? I'm going to say yes. It's going to say, are you really sure? Because you can't go back at this stage. If you go ahead and set this up, you are flashing the new UEFI firmware and you won't be able to go back. ChromeOS won't work anymore, which is okay. So I'm going to choose a Y. And this, in this case, it's highly recommended that you back up your existing stock configuration for ChromeOS. And all it's going to do, if you say yes, it's going to ask you to put a USB drive in there. I've done it once. I've got about 50 of these to convert over, so I'm not going to do it each time. So I'm going to choose no this time. And now it's going to download the full ROM firmware. It's going to go through a few other messages, and then it's going to finish. This is going to take a minute or so in order to do that. When it finishes, what we're going to do is shut it down, and then we're going to put in our flash drive, our USB flash drive for Cloudready. It's downloading. Got the right one. Showing Peppy, which is the ChromeOS terminology for Acer C720. Okay, sorry about the delay, but it does what it does. I could tell you a joke, but I don't know any jokes right now. 3 Chromebooks walk into a bar. No, won't tell you that one. It's almost done. Okay. It's saying disabling software write protect, clearing up the WP range. Installing full ROM firmware may take up to 90 seconds. So once it does that, it's going to say it's finished. And you press enter to go back to the menu. And then we're going to hit P for power off. Okay, it said it's done, successfully installed and updated, and it says press enter to go back to the menu. So I'm pressing enter, and now I'm just going to choose P for power off and press enter, and it's going to turn it off. All right, we're now going to boot it back up here in just a second, but before we do that, we're going to take our Cloudready USB drive. Has to be at least 8 gigabytes, I think. If you go to the Cloudready website, this is the home version. It's free. You download it, and you create basically a USB drive installer. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this into the USB drive of the system. We're going to turn it on. So I'm going to put the USB drive in. I'm going to turn on the power, but this time, it's not the regular ChromeOS that's going to come up. Remember this ROM. I'm looking for a little bunny. It sounds strange, but I'm looking for a little bunny, and as soon as I see the bunny, I'm going to hit escape. So sometimes takes, there's our bunny. So I hit escape, and it comes up to this menu now. So I have a boot menu and a boot menu, or boot manager. The boot menu is basically what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go down to the boot menu. I'm just using the arrow keys. I want to press enter on the boot menu. And from here, I can see both the SATA drive that's inside the system here, the SSD. But what I want to choose is the USB. In my case, it says USB, SMI, USB flash drive. I'm just going to press enter while it's highlighted. And then my installer is going to start Cloudready because it's going to boot off of that USB drive. It's going to come up and give me a little flash screen. There's Cloudready starting. And once Cloudready gets installed, I'm going to tell it to uninstall. Once it gets all the way booted, I'm going to tell it to install. So one of the things about Cloudready, if you've never used it, you can use this on old Windows computers and Macs and things like that too. But bear in mind, when it boots up here, initially it's going to look like it wants us to go ahead and just run it from the flash drive. I don't want to run it from the flash drive. I want to install it. So what I'm going to do is take the mouse cursor down to the lower right and click on where the settings are. And I have an area now here that says Install OS. And that's what I want to choose. So when I click on Install OS, it gives me a little flash screen here about the installer. But basically, I click Install Cloudready, and then it says Erase hard drive and install Cloudready. And this is the final step here. Once I do this, this can take 10 to 15 minutes. So we're going to stop the video here and then restart it after it gets finished. When it gets finished, it automatically shuts the computer off, which is pretty cool because I don't have to worry about it and come back and press enter on it or anything like that. All right, we're going to let it go ahead and take its time, do its installer, and it will be turning itself off when it's done. All right, that took about 10-12 minutes to go through the whole process, and it shut itself off now. So what I'm going to do is pull out the Cloudready USB drive so that it's out of the USB drive now, and all I'm going to do is turn it on. When I turn it on, what you're going to see is it's going to come up now with a little bunny, flashes for a couple of seconds, and if you don't hit escape, then it's going to go ahead and start Cloudready, which looks very much like ChromeOS. So I'm going to turn it on now. There's my bunny. There's my Cloudready starting up, running off the SSD now. And when it begins, it's going to come up just like ChromeOS. But the variation, you should notice the difference is up here in the top left is a little notation that says this is Cloudready and it's OS version 80.4.1. Cloudready is always going to be a little bit behind in terms of the versions, but at least it gets updates. Now it's very much just like a Chromebook. So I'm going to click on Let's Go. I'm going to choose my Wi-Fi. Get that started. Choose Next. It's going to ask me, do I want to send in anonymous data? And I usually do, because I want to make it better. And now this looks just like signing in to a regular ChromeOS Chromebook, except this is Cloudready. It gets updates in a very similar manner. Again, sometimes they're usually 2 or 3, maybe even 4 versions past what is the current version, but they keep doing updates, and that's a good thing. The Chromebook that this started with, I think, was on version 74. Well, you can see right now, right away, that I went to version 80.4 already, so it's already ahead of the game. Again, Cloudready is a very useful tool, and you can use it on Chromebooks. This particular Chromebook, you had to remove the Write Protect software. It varies by Chromebook model and brand, what you're going to have to do to it in order to get Cloudready version, or Cloudready ready to use. But at any rate, now it's ready to give to someone, and they're usually, students in our area are very usually well versed in how to use a Chromebook and don't have any problem at all. All right, hopefully this has been helpful to you. Again, this is Terry at Second Chance Computers. You folks have a good day.